Now my garage floor has a slope that goes down this direction to accommodate for drainage. So since this is my lowest point, I'll start my first shelving bracket right here. Then I'll line up all the other ones off of that, since the other ones just need to have a little bit cut off the bottoms. And for two of the brackets, the one that goes here and one that goes here, I have to make a cutout to accommodate these dust collection tubes.
I will cut a notch just above the tubes, which will run all the way down to the floor. I will also cut a notch for the baseboard at the bottom. This will leave a 1-inch wide piece resting on the floor. It will be plenty for support since the large lag bolts will carry most of the load. I set the saw blade at a 45-degree angle to cut the first part of the notch. When using the protractor, I will keep it flat against the saw table and not the blade insert. This is because my old insert is a little bit concave. The next cut is for the long portion of the notch. I mark the fence to know where to stop the board when it reaches the top of the notch. I could also use a jigsaw or bandsaw to cut the notches. A chisel makes quick work of the remaining piece to cut. Again, a jigsaw or bandsaw could do the same thing. This next step is cutting the baseboard notch, but this time I'll use a jigsaw. Using a laser level, I center the board on the stud. Now it is time to drill the holes into the studs for the lag bolts. I'm using a 1/4-inch bit that is extra long since the lag bolts are so long. I want to ensure the entire length of the bolt is drilled for so that the stud will not split, and to prevent too much stress on the wood fibers where the wood threads will cut into. A piece of tape works well to measure where to stop drilling. I drill the top hole of the first 2x4 into the wall. Once that is done, I then drill the same hole in the 2x4 to the same diameter of the bolt shank. Doing this keeps the holes centered with each other when I remount the 2x4. With the top hole drilled larger, I now set the first bolt in place. I won't tighten it all the way until the final stage of the process to give me some room to play with. With the top bolt set, I can now drill the remaining holes into the stud and ensure all the holes are lined up. Now it is time to set the second board in place. I will line up the boards vertically with each other to ensure the shelf holes are level. Here you can see there is about 1/8 of an inch difference. This is how I set up the laser level. Not a precise setup, but it works. I repeated the process for all 4 boards and got the top bolt set. I will now drill the remaining stud holes. I removed all 4 boards and will finish drilling the remaining bolt holes to the larger diameter. With all the boards drilled, I can now bolt all of them in place and everything will come out level. My drill is not made for screwing in bolts, so I'll start the bolts with the drill and finish with a wrench. Well, with everything mounted, I can finally put the pipes in their holes. Doing a little weight test here. I am 218 pounds fully dressed, so this shelf unit holds weight very well. One little problem I had is that an outlet cover was too close to a 2x4. I'll cut the cover plate with my scroll saw. Well, I didn't cut it just right, but no problem. There's nothing my block plane can't trim up. Now it's a good fit. The last thing to do is load it up with wood I had milled a year ago.
Well, here's the lumber rack, all completed and almost fully loaded. Right now I have a rough cut red oak on here that's going to finish drying indoors. That's why I've got it all stickered. And the logs that these came from were short logs, so I'm not using the fourth rail over there. When I get further down my stack, those are 8.5, 9 feet long, so that'll take care of holding all 4 rails, will hold all of those. But as you can see, it's holding quite a bit of weight, very stable, no issues with it. I'm pretty happy with this, especially since it only cost me about $80 at the most to build. And that's with buying every piece of material I used on it. If you've got some scraps at home, then you could probably build it for a lot less. But compared to what you can buy in a store, this takes the cake. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it was of some use to you. Thanks.